We are back. We are so back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 13th hour. So good to see everybody over here. And in a post Disneyland opening week, I was out at the park all day on Friday, had an amazing time, and it just felt oddly familiar. Oddly familiar. And wow, so much to talk about today. So much news that I missed this week. I spent all morning looking over all the different websites from the last week because I had vanished. I had fallen into the Disneyland abyss and I had completely disappeared because I was just so focused on actually living the Disneyland lifestyle versus consuming all the content around. Humble brag, I know. Okay. The news will start at 5 minutes after, but first I have to say hello to everybody and make sure you make it to the end because I got a couple of big announcements for my regular viewers. Couple little surprises up my sleeves. All right, let me say hi to some people here. Who was the first in the chat today? Got to say hi. Kristen M, what's up? Thank you for catching my typo. It's been a wild morning getting all of this ready for everybody today. I want to say what's up to Patty, Tony Mendez, Leonie's over here, Nikki Lasagna, Nerd Squared, Katie Baker, Bright Suns. How you doing, bud? Good to see you. JT's over here. JT, thank you so much for setting up that Facebook group. Man, you guys are just like phenomenal. Helping me make all of this happen, and I sincerely appreciate it. What's up, Alexander? How you doing, man? I got so many new subscribers on Friday, so hopefully some of our new friends will work their way over here, which I think maybe while I'm waiting for the 5 minutes to strike, what I do is each and every Monday in the 13th hour of the day, I look back on the week in Disneyland news, take some of my favorite news stories, share them with you over here. And when there is no breaking news, we look at various different things all around the history, the design, and the emotional story of Disneyland. You know the motto that we created last Friday, right? Crushing vibes, not rides. So hopefully some new folks are over here. This is my weekly live stream, though, that I do from my home-based studio. A little bit different than a lot of the other Disneyland YouTubers. No shade, just I have a different beat. I have a different style, and hopefully you'll enjoy what we do over here once a week. And like I said, at the end of the stream, I have a big announcement about next week's 13th hour. And after all, this is the show that birthed the Pandemies, which I think got a lot of interesting things going in the Disneyland community. Anna B, what's up? Thank you so much. Shout out to the mom bag for keeping me alive at the park all day Friday. Oh, I would have been dead without the mom bag. Is my chair low? I feel like my chair is extremely low. I feel like I'm like a little, hey guys, what's going on in the stream today? I wish I could fit inside the window. Lauren, what's up? How you doing, Maria? Good to see you over there. Mario, what's up, bud? I always like to kind of, start 5 minutes in to give people time to get the notifications, give them time to get in here. So if you ever catch one of these on a replay, you can just go skirt right into 5 minutes, and that's when we start the news. Let's see. Cute Latin guys here. Good afternoon, citizens of Disneyland. Oh, I appreciate that. Oh, I see some glow grapes in the feed. Everybody getting excited for May the 4th tomorrow? Man, I am. I'm so excited for May the 4th. The first ever May the 4th celebrated inside of Disneyland. Oh, man, that's going to be so awesome. Cannot wait to get to the park again tomorrow. Oh, man. Mario, you got reservations for Thursday? I'll be there Thursday, but no filming. No filming. Definitely no live streams, but no filming because it's my return with my wife. It's a date. Thursday is our date day back at Disneyland. All right, let's go ahead and get started with this week's news and all the different articles that I popped out that I wanted to share and discuss with each and every one of you. As I said earlier, and as you know, Disneyland is open. I was consumed with being out in the park all week long last week. Hopefully you caught the epic all-day live stream that I did on Friday. That was a lot of fun. I have since everything that I complained about that was slowing me down, like battery power. Where'd you go, girl? New gimbal. That's not going to be a problem anymore. Just sitting it back down is going to be a problem. And for the fact that when I couldn't like get in touch with the rest of the world, no problem. Second phone. So everything that went wrong, I have spent the money, spent the time to research, even put an app on my watch so that I can monitor my phone battery while I'm live streaming. So anything that went wrong, I have addressed so we can continue doing those epic, big, long live streams. And there will be a live stream tomorrow from Batu. So I'll tell you all about that later on today. But first, what I missed this week is there were some new Avengers campus photos that were shared over on the Disney Parks blog. So let's dive into it. So overall, we've seen some images of Avengers Campus. I'll be there on June 4th live streaming if you can't make it, so don't worry about it. But I'm a little bit worried about this land. I'm very, very excited, so I don't want to come off as negative Nelly, but I am a little bit concerned about how some parts of this land will age. Are we accidentally celebrating and getting excited about Tomorrowland 2.0, Tomorrowland DCA being erected in front of our very eyes? So let's look at some of the images. I'm not going to do a total designer breakdown. If you'd like to, I would do a video about that. They don't do so well, but I would do one if requested, if you're thinking about it. All right. First off, one of the photos that was released, they gave us a nice up close ground shot photo of all this patina. You know, if you don't know, the background story of where this land came from is the Stark family was in possession of it. It was old factories, you know, just another asset that these trillionaires owned. And then they released the land, released these buildings over to the Avengers so they could create their headquarters, their campus. So it's going to be a little bit of a mixture of like modern technology with a little old world patina to show like in any, you know, major city where old warehouses, I mean, it's same for here in downtown LA, same, really, really true from where my wife's from in upstate New York, or where I'm originally from in Louisville, Kentucky, where you see these old buildings sort of rebirth a renaissance of technology and come back together. Austin, Texas would be a perfect example of that. So we see a little bit of old world meets new world. So seeing some of this patina, seeing some of the old handwriting and signs is going to make it really, really fun and kind of feel like there's a history before us, which is something that I love. When we look at this main area here, this is the entryway off of the performance corridor. That is the parade route inside of DCA. So right now we're standing over by the Blue Sky Cellar. Say that 10 times fast. This is where we're going in. I see a please love. We love your design breakdowns. Maybe we'll have to put one of those together. Maybe we'll have to do a breakdown because I have some theories on how this land might age. They're not all good, but with love. So when we zoom into this right here, I'm getting so good at the weatherman point. So we're going to zoom into this area right in here. This is not going to age well. This graffiti that was put in here, it already doesn't look like modern day writing. This I'm a little bit worried about, but not overly worried about because it is a mural and murals can get updated. They could get, you know, an amazing person like, I think they should have did what Universal did and hire Tristan Eaton and have Tristan Eaton come in and do like a phenomenal real world street art mural in there. But yes, this is the mural that's inside of the web building, which is the Spider-Man sort of Midway Mania, you know, adventure game where we will sit in a seat, the computer will recognize our body, and we will sit back and do this. And that gesture and other hidden gestures will be recognized by the cameras and be interactive. Miguel, what's up? Thanks for saying hi, buddy. So this is some of that old world, you know, the old Stark complex with the new Avengers wraparound. So you have the brick urban building with the graffiti, but then we have the modern steel work around it. This graffiti I'm a little bit alarmed by. And then we also have on the second level here, it's also like a very big washed out tag or mural that's over the top of it. I'm really, really curious. Tony says, I'm wondering if that's not a Miles Morales Spider-Man reference. I mean, it could be. Let's just do something real quick. Remove Marvel, remove Spider-Man from the equation and just think, what will this land look like in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? The mural's not going to age well, but it's not an alarming thing because it can be replaced very easily. Okay, so now we're going to look in this same area again. Actually, we're going to move on to another area, And I do these deep design breakdowns. I did 2 videos. They did horribly. But if you're new to the channel, I thought I'd put the thumbnails in here where I took the new Fantasy Springs coming to Tokyo, and I really broke down how Walt Disney Imaginarian does all these tricks. I mean, you've heard forced perspective 1,000 times because you're a hardcore Disney fan, or you wouldn't be here today. But has anyone ever really explained to you how that magic trick works? So I did 2 videos where I broke that down. They're in the catalog. Go check them out. But if you guys want, if there's comments in this after it goes up that you guys need a Marvel breakdown, I would happily do so. But the part of the concept art that I was most intrigued by was Doctor Strange's area, his Sanctum. I was very, very curious what this would be. And I love how Disney creates natural age patina. It's brand new concrete work. You know, look at Batuu, Galaxy's Edge. I mean, it's brand new. It still has that new land smell to it, but they designed it to look like it was out of this world and that it had been around forever, that there was a history in there. So we got these photos a couple of weeks ago showing this land actually built. And it's pretty interesting because we kind of get a 1-2 shot here. So this entryway right here, this is that in real life. And if you look, this is basically the way that my eye is reading it. This is a wall to kind of keep people inside of this area. So this is like outside of Docking Bay 7. This is using like, oh, there's an old building that is distressed and torn down, but the old building is really a fence or a gate or a wall to keep guests inside. Adventures in Magic, what's up? How you doing? So this area over here, see that little thing where my weatherman finger's pointing? That is this, okay? So I think this might either be the exit or the entryway, or the other way is the exit. I don't know if we're coming or going here, but nonetheless, that little sphere, the magic sphere, exists over here, which looks beautiful lit up at night. But we were able to get this new photo of it, like really up close, and there's a couple of interesting things. One, we know that it's capable of illuminating at night, so it's going to be beautiful in here at night, which is cool because when we go back to this land 2.0, 1.0 would be Bountiful Farms, 2.0 would be Bugs Land. Bugs Land had a nice vibe at night. It was nice to go in there and be under the cloak of all the big cloves and sort of felt hidden in a way. But this right here shows us what it looks like during the daytime. So we can see that there are etchings that are inside of the glass, but unfortunately we can also see that there's like a mirror type vibe, which is giving us the reflection of the railing that's put around it. And if you watched me Friday on the all day live stream, I pointed out how there's so few railings, fences inside of Galaxy's Edge. That's one of the big design wins for that land, that they didn't fence it all up and rail it all up. Another topic for another time. But we all know Disney's tricks with mirrors. If something is a mirror, then you can project inside of it. You can do a reflection inside of it. So could this right here, come on, Sony, work. Could this reflection be giving us an indication that there's some sort of thing that could be put inside of there? I'm not going to say exactly Rey in the opening Rise of the Resistance scene, but I am saying, could there be something that could boom, 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 bounce around inside of there? Just a thought. Just a thought. Mikey says, the campus tonight is going to look so sweet. I completely agree with you that this land is going to be really buzzing at nighttime. And then over at Walt Disney World News today, they were inside of DCA over the weekend, as many fans were, and they spotted that this is the wall where we're at right here in the park. This is at the end of the Hyperion Theater, an area that I think needs a lot more theming. But this is the end of the Hyperion Theater where we would officially go through the threshold, which would get us into Avengers Campus. So I'm a little bit I was interested about how that transition would be. And Walt Disney World News today found this new item over there. I'm going to assume that this will illuminate and light up just like the logo that almost looks identical to this on the side of the headquarters building. But we do see, this is where I get a little bit skeptic. To make it look Avengers, we see a lot of these angle cuts. We see a lot of things that sort of go with that whole aesthetic. I'm very curious how long these angled cuts will still look hip and still look like they are ready to be seen, inside of a Disney park, like that sort of like perfection that we've come to know. I'm a little bit worried that this could feel like Tomorrowland, and I don't know why my camera's just not participating, but I'm not going to complain about it because it's all good Disney vibes. Also, over at the Disney Parks blog, they were nice enough to put over this image of this sort of blue ooze, to put a little bit of that Guardians vibe, because Guardians is like off planet, it's outer worldly, it's unbelievable that it worked, right? Like Guardians is probably the most ambitious Avengers product yet, and one of the biggest successes. They really, really risked it, and they won big on it. So there's this like ooze that's all over the street there, which I think this was really, really smart storytelling to put this into the ground. They already had to rip up all of the roads. They reran the trail for the red car trolley. So having that opportunity to be like, what can we put down on the ground? For example, over in Batuu, there's Creatures tracks, there's R2's treads, there's different droid footprints in there. So seeing a little bit of this like outer world, like, I don't know, space goo all over the ground, like it's pretty cool. You can't deny that only Disney would do something that crazy. Like, all right, but what are we doing with the street? What are we doing with the street? So very, very cool touch. Now I'm a little bit seeing this photo of this building doesn't have the same glamour as the night shot that Disney showed us. We can also see that, this background area here, this is pretty loose. There's not a lot happening here. And then also the side of this building being like oversized concrete blocks. Like my spidey design senses were telling me, wasn't this building going to be wrapped in steel? When I fell in love with this concept art, and granted, this is phase 1, this is going to be phase 2. This is going to be phase 2, where you can see that, this would be the dark ride that would be built. This would be an entryway or a pre-show into the dark ride, which, I know money's a problem because of, I don't know if you guys know this, but secret, we went through a pandemic last year. This will happen. I can assure you this will happen. They're not going to stop the Avengers here. Might be a year or two later than what we planned. Might change a little bit, but rest assured, this will happen. But when I look at the side of this building, and then once again, you see there's that logo that I was talking about that our friends over at Walt Disney World News Today was able to find. It almost looks like identical, like BOGO. Like, you know what? Go ahead and order 2 of those. We'll use a second one. We'll find a spot. We'll find a spot to put the second one. We'll go ahead and put 2 in our cart. Or maybe, who knows, Kenny P. Rocks was maybe like rocking out and he accidentally put 2 in his cart. And he's like, oh, Kenny P. Rocks. But I'm a little bit, and I'm not trying to be overly negative. I'm so excited that this is coming. I can't wait to hang out here. I can't wait to have this. But I am a designer. I do cover the Disney parks, and it is my responsibility to have a slightly critical eye on how things happen, because that's where it gets interesting. So anyways, I was hoping that it'd be wrapped in steel. Let's hope that this is the way that it grows in the future. Tyrion treats is something else that they showed over the Disney Parks blog, and I'm assuming there used to be a little pretzel stand out on the outside of the Hyperion Theater, like waiting area. I'm assuming that maybe this is going to be like a little cart that's in that same footprint or close to there. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Cute Latin guy says this building is going to look strange with the 1930s trolley parked out front of it. That's going to be a little bit of an interesting mashup. But the trolley matches the futurism building so much more than it does Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. That's the real wow factor of will it work or not. That's the real wow. Always knows the hand. But the face, so much more important than the hand. Well, do I gotta be right here, Sony? Is this close enough for you, Sony? Is this how I'm supposed to do the news today, Sony? But I'm thinking this is like a little food cart, something that we'll get. Fancy churro cart, Nikki. Right on. Now this, they dropped this photo, and I'm not sure exactly where this is, but this has got me very excited because this feels like all of the texturing and detailing that we've seen over in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but with a Marvel superheroes technology tilt to it. This, I think, is pretty awesome. Scott says, do you think Hyperion goes towards Avengers or sticks with other IP? My hope and my guess is that eventually, when you're standing at the hub, the off-centered hub at DCA, over to your left, everything over there will be a part of Avengers. If Disneyland Ford gets approved and we get the parking garage on the eastern side of Disneyland, the plan for that is to build a walkway that would take people in. So therefore, the area where all the buses come in now, the monorail would get moved over. They would expand Hollywoodland in that direction where the buses are at currently. So Marvel has made more money than Star Wars. Marvel is the biggest film earning franchise that Disney owns. It deserves a lot more than what used to be Bugs Land, right? So to answer your question, I believe that eventually that theater could be an amazing way to do an Avengers Broadway show that would allow them to do, some special effects that you just can't do outdoors. Maybe put some characters into the park that you couldn't do a meet and greet with. So I definitely think it'll go that way. And then they also showed us this photo of the Pimp Kitchen. I'm mildly curious about this. The restaurant isn't my number one priority when I get in there on June 4th. I'll definitely check it out. This is cool, though. One thing that I really love about this, and this is how I will tell this part of the Disneyland story, is that these oversized items from a guy called Ant-Man is a brilliant callback to Bugs Land, which was there before it. So I do love, it's not lost on me, the creativity that the scaling and overall messing with proportion is still alive in Bugs Land. So that's, I think, an interesting detail. All right, let me look at some of your comments over here. Gary says, I wonder if they will end up with an app like Galaxy's Edge to interact with stuff. I would think so. I would think that there's a lot more of that to come in the future. I just hope that they get it a little bit more interactive, a little bit more enticing, That would be what I would hope for all of that. Let's see here. Ross Loves Disney. We are on the theming floors now. I don't know what you're talking about. Lauren says, Liliani says the scale of those are so fun. It's a fun concept for the restaurant, for sure. It's a very fun concept for the restaurant. I love the big chicken sandwich where it's like a slider bun, but like oversized chicken meat and then smaller than normal bun, like a good 1-2-1-2. The food won't all be giant. Some of the food is, some of it isn't, but a lot of the food, Alexander, it does mess around with scale. Adventures in Magic says color schemes. I don't know. It seems not as bright as it could be. It'll be interesting to see when we all get in there. Don't forget, cameras can either, really accentuate color grading or tone things down. Yes, it's tough to be a bug. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all of that comes together. I'm excited about this land. Okay. Second thing I wanted to talk about with you today is as follows. There was some news a couple of weeks ago where Disney was getting into, or the Disney Imaginarian, and this is something that I've kind of felt like could have happened for a while, and I'm excited to see that it would happen, is that Disney is potentially looking at taking their theming, their Imaginarian on the road, or maybe doing, pop-ups or touring shows that could go all around planet Earth. And I'll tell you why I'm excited about this. First off, one of the things that got people thinking about this is Bob Weiss, W-E-I-S, He was the head of Walt Disney Imaginarian. He has now jumped over to New Experience Development, which is sort of a new offshoot of WED. You know what I'm talking about. Let's go back. This idea isn't brand new. Disney Quest was this idea of what if we did like a Disney Chuck E. Cheese? Now I'm taking a big idea and I'm making it very, very simpleton. But the idea was Disney Quest. They built one in Chicago, one out in Orlando. So the Chicago one was the only Disney thing, you know, outside of the two Disney parks. It didn't last long, but it was also under the Michael Eisner year. So it was a little bit of a weird time for the company. But the idea of Disney Quest maybe was too ahead of its time, because when they tried this, you know, there was a Dave and Buster's, there was Chuck E. Cheese, but there wasn't this need, this absolute desire for experience. And the reason why I think that there's a huge need for experience with Disney Quest now is if you look at the American landscape, it has drastically changed, right? Wherever you live, if you're here in America, you know that there's like two malls in your town. There's the mall that used to be cool, and there's the mall that's holding on to trying to be cool, right? And we've seen big box stores like Kmart and Sears evacuate massive footprints. And the pandemic last year, it's sped up a lot of things. And one of the things that it sped up was the deterioration of retail. Earlier in my career, I was in the music industry. Specifically, I worked over in the retail aspect of the music industry, working for the major labels and distribution into all of the independent record stores across America and territories in Canada. And so firsthand, I have seen the brick and mortar deterioration by online commerce. So when you have the problem of all of these malls, all of these structures across the country vacating, but you have this thing called social media creating a new sense of FOMO, fear of missing out, you have an interesting proposition of, can there be tours? Can there be experiences made that can be loaded up on 4 semis and 2 buses and go out and hit different markets? Is there something that New York and LA can design and package to take out to Sioux City? There is a lot of different people that are looking at this right now, and I can assure you that at some point in the 10s, no, we're already in the 20s, you dummy. I can assure you that 10 years from now, in the 30s, a little bit of a live stream brain melt. Yeah, this will probably happen by 2010. Hey guys, this is going to for sure happen by 2012. Promise. But if you get into 10 years or so from now, there are companies, I know people that are working on them here in Los Angeles, that are actively trying to figure out how to take things on the road, how to go to places, because entertainment has shifted a lot. Leisure has shifted a lot. The mall, shopping, that used to be a thing that people really spent their time on. That has now sort of been removed from the equation because Amazon, or really specific merchants like Nomad, who's not a sponsor of today's podcast, but they sell the best electronic accessories. That's something that I love spending money on. So I'm going to just buy it from them because I know that they have the best. So the idea, I believe, would be that Walt Disney Imaginarian would create this division. They would be able to go to other countries, you know, places like Dubai, go over into parts of Europe, go into parts of Asia that they don't have parks in, but also tour around America and set up, you know, experiential things. I don't know that they would be things that would last forever, but maybe things that they could do that would last for a while. Get a lot of people coming in, making everybody feel like Disney's in town. We got to go do this thing. Think Disney on Ice, but for adults. And one of the things that makes me think that this could be so possible is, let's look at Oga's Cantina. Oga's Cantina exists inside of Batu East and West. Be there tomorrow. I mean, not in Oga's, but I'll be in Batu tomorrow. I'm going to be happy with what I have, not worry about what I don't have. But when you look at the idea of Oga's Cantina, would it be really so insane for Disney to create an experience like this that could travel, that could go to different markets, different tiers? I feel a sneeze coming up. It's going to happen. I never ever only get one sneeze. The second one will show up, don't worry. But wait, Disney on Ice isn't for adults? Who wants to tell Ayani no? Plot line, way too easy to follow. But the idea here is this. Could a Oga's Cantina type thing travel? Could it go to wherever you live? Could this be something that could set up? It could be there for a couple of months and something that people would love to, in advance, book tons of reservations to go to. When we look at the Star Wars Trading Post that was designed inside of downtown Disney, this is showing everybody that Disney is even willing to go above and beyond because they realize there's a new sophisticated customer that not only needs this stuff, but really, really reacts to it. So the Trading Post is kind of going more in that direction, which on opening day, I went into the Trading Post. I filmed the whole thing. I didn't do merch reviews. I just looked at all the design details and talked to you about what a huge win it was. And also showed you a couple of images of when it was the old Rainforest Cafe to just kind of give you a mindset of how it was, where it was at, and the trick that Disney did. Yes, don't forget the like button. Man, without the sheriff here today, it's all falling apart. We also know that they are doing the hotel, Cirque du Soleil. I see that over there. You didn't think I could read that, but I can read that it says Cirque du Soleil. But we also look at what they're doing with the Disney Hotel. We're seeing Disney take the magic and put it in other places than the parks. And something happened last week that made me think, wow, they're really getting good at this type of idea, right? So last week there was a video that you could sign up and watch. It's over on the Disney Parks channel, but it's about the brand new cruise line called the Disney Wish. And inside of the Disney Wish, it really got me thinking that if they're going to put a hyperspace lounge, you know, a Star Wars themed bar inside of the Disney Wish, it's kind of what I've been thinking was going to happen was kind of coming together. I mean, obviously, I know their cruise ship is way different than putting something in the mall in Rochester, New York, but it does show the idea that right now Imaginarian is taking the idea of we have all these properties, we have ways where we can design these, we can scale these, we can create experiences that feel familiar to people, and with the invention of the new experience development, there is some writing on the wall that something like this could be very, very possible. And when we look at the way that people are spending their money, spending their energy, and also the resurgence of the theme parks, the reason why theme parks are up way over than they have been in the last decades, it's social media. Social media is driving the demand for the theme parks. And you may say, but Brickey, I'm barely on Facebook and nobody likes me on Instagram. And I would say, I understand, I'm in the same boat. But think about the last year, how social media, you know, people over on Instagram, people over on YouTube, showing you Disney content kept your Disney magic alive. That is the evidence right there that there is now a fan through line, a fan community that can help you remember how much fun you had at the parks even when you're not there. That is fueling the desire for more and more people to go to the parks, more and more people to say that they're there or to experience these things and to share these things. Ross loves Disney. Disneyland Ford. I would love for that to get approved because it seems as if Disney is at a moment where they're really, really trying to figure out new and innovative ways to bring experiences to everyone. So when I looked at the Disney Wish premiere video, which those videos are hard to watch. Those videos are hard to watch. It's like, it's almost as if they think that everybody who goes and consumes their products is 5. So those videos are hard to watch, but it's very interesting to see how they were taking their main IPs from the company and applying them to this boat so that people could have this experience on the go. Let's see here. Tony says, I will never go on a cruise. I've seen Poseidon Adventure. Yeah, I'm not a I'm not a cruise guy either. Neither here nor there, though. What they're doing in the cruises, what they're doing outside of the parks, I think is an indication of where things could be going. Let's see here. Federalist says, what if they develop futuristic attractions for limited time experience like World's Fairs? See, Federalist, I think that we're on the same boat here. I think that there is definitely a way that we could see some of that happen. All right, let's move on here a little bit. This little rough edit that I put together for us. So that lounge will be inside of the Disney Wish. So, you know, trying to keep the family happy or trying to keep the parents happy, that would be a place where you could go and consume some adult conversation and beverages. Also inside of the cruise liner, there is, you know, a lot of different Disney theming, which is new to what they always do. But there's also a Marvel area, which once again, you know, maybe a Star Wars bar isn't something they take on the road, but a Marvel experience for kids where they could go in and meet their heroes and get to do different, you know, AR, augmented reality interactions, where we're seeing this young guy here who's going to build a costume for himself and get to become Black Panther. This is something that I can definitely see this new experience is considering taking on the road. It's just a thought, but I think it's a thought with a little bit of, you know, like a chicken nugget of reality behind it. Lauren, you just noticed that there were ships flying out the window? Yeah, there's some cool stuff happening in these videos if you really, really look at them. Scott says, I'd still rather go to the Galactic Star Cruiser. Absolutely. Star Cruiser, though, very, very expensive. Super expensive. And for a reason, because it has a limited capacity, so supply and demand. It definitely will be interesting, though, to see, Alexander, exactly what you're talking about. Traveling Disney's, you know, circus of interactive activities, floor show, photo ops, and special foods would work. Also, with how good they've gotten at all of their digital imaging. We were at, not 2020, but 2019, we did our annual holiday trip to New York City, where they had, on one of the department stores, they did a licensing deal with Disney, where essentially they were playing Disney songs and doing a whole Frozen thing on the outside of the department store that faces 30 Rockefeller Center. So, you know, they do licensing deals, and after all, don't forget, all of the Asian parks are not owned by Disney. It is a licensing deal that they have with the various park owners. China owns the park in China, but there's the Oriental Land Company who owns one of the other parks. And so essentially it is a licensing deal where Imaginarian comes up with the attractions. They get to use Disney IPs, and in return, Disney gets a percentage of profits without having to put actual money into building the parks. Also, what they showed over on the cruise, which goes into a different way because it doesn't always have to be Star Wars and Avengers, but they did show a dinner theater where it was themed around Frozen. So once again, this would be a more limited, more premium experience than, say, a Disney on Ice, but also sort of hit that younger demo of kids that want to see magic and meet their favorite, you know, heroines and heroes and that type of a vibe. So there's definitely a lot of things that could go. Karen says, the need to bring something to Vegas, that would be awesome. I mean, there was that big Marvel thing that was in Vegas for a few years, but to see something that actually has the Disney touch, that's put together by Walt Disney Imagineering, that would be, I think, very, very cool to see that happen. But yeah, I just always love to look at the various different things the corporation's doing, try to use that designer's mind that I have, and also try to think about what we've learned at Disneyland and how they could keep doing different things, going elsewhere with it. All just, you know, food for thought, but I think with a reasonable amount of real world, you know, sort of practicality that it could happen. And then they also showed like a little fairy tale hall where, you could go in. Once again, this is interactive, kind of like the Marvel thing. So there you go. That's what I looked over at the cruise, how I sort of took that, connected it to another story. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I don't think that it's the craziest thing that I've ever said, because I've said a lot of crazy things. Trying to get my slides up to here. There we go. All right. As we all know, Disneyland reopened this past week. It was crazy. I happened to be there on opening day, and I happened to end up becoming the poster boy on all the Southern California newspapers for the magical return home, because I took it upon myself to go down Main Street and virtual high five, every single cast member on the right-hand side of the street. But I thought it would be fun right now because I know there are so many different questions, and I was really busy live streaming and trying to give you guys the best show possible, that we could do a fun little FAQ about questions about returning to the park, an AMA, like anything you guys want to know about returning to the park, how it felt, what I wanted to do, where is it different, just let me know. The picture is wild, man. Like, there's so many ways I thought that this could go. Being on the cover of the newspaper wasn't one of them, but man, oh man, the return was great. Yes, Courtney, lots of tears. I pretty much cried myself dry on Tuesday for the cast member preview, so my crying on Friday was more like a normal Disney day, but that morning was great. So great. Sip. Federal says Disneyland Railroad has been the longest attraction line all day. Guessing enough people figured out they had to get on it early. Yeah, they shut it down early. And I know everybody keeps saying, guys, it shuts down at 3 o'clock. I tried to ride it way before 3 o'clock and it had already shut down. I think on Friday it shut down maybe around 1:30. Scotty, I have not framed it yet, but it's going to go into my flat files with my massive art collection. So pretty interesting thing to have happen. But yes, let me know if you have any questions. What time did you get dropped off? Excellent question. So if people keep asking me, what time should I go to the park? It depends on what your idea of getting to the park is. If you want to go to the park and avoid the hassles, I would suggest showing up at Mickey and Friends at like 9 a.m. because all the hardcore will probably be in there. If you show up 9:30, I know you're missing 30 minutes of park time, but if you're the type of person that is irritated by, crowds and waiting in line, show up late, because I got up on the Disneyland Railroad and looked out at the Esplanade, like, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes after the park had opened, and you could have just easily walked in. But if you're the type of psycho like me that likes to be a part of all the hoopla, and you really, really want to get there early, and you want to be one of the first people to go through the gate, get dropped off over on the harbor side. Take an Uber, park someplace else, have an Uber pick you up from where you park, but get dropped off over on the eastern side, over on the harbor side of the park. I got dropped off at, I want to say I left my house, my car picked me up at 6:20. I was on property about 6:50. So I was over on that property by like 7 a.m. So therefore I was the fourth person in line to go through the gate on the eastern side of the park. And I was in the gates of Disneyland by like 8:05, 8:10 a.m. And it couldn't have worked out any better for me. And I mean, guys, I got in there at like 5 after, and I didn't have to show up at 2 a.m. I didn't have to park my car at 4 a.m. and stand over on the tram side. So, if you're going with somebody that just doesn't want to deal with all that stuff, show up 30 minutes after park opens. It should be a breeze. If you like the hoopla, if you want to be a part of everything, go to the harbor side. That would be my advice for you. Nikki, I'm anti-hoopla. My wife is anti-hoopla. I'm pro-hoopla. She's anti-hoopla. Yes, Mark, that does seem to be the theme, that a lot of people are saying that there's a lack of engineers, which is why the Disneyland Railroad is shutting down midday. I really hope they resume that, because part of my strategy of ripping the parks is I use the train a lot like a New Yorker does, in that, oh, well, if I do this, this, and this, I can hop on the train, I can take it around to New Orleans Square, or I can take it over to Main Street. And so I really do use the train not only as the nostalgic inspiration for the park that it is, but as a solid piece of transportation to like give my feet a rest so that I can go around. And by the way, Friday, for those of you that asked, I walked 11 miles on Friday inside of Disneyland. How was downtown Disney after closing? It was busy. It was really busy. So I ended up going to dinner at the Grand Californian that night. I was invited over there by friends. So that meant when I went through the Esplanade, instead of going out on Harbor and catching a car or going up the tram like other people did, I went into downtown Disney, and downtown Disney was buzzing. I mean, one of those moments where if you didn't see the face mask, it just felt like a normal time. I mean, it was just buzzing. There was people everywhere. Nikki says going Thursday. I'll be there Thursday too. Can't wait. Going Thursday, probably going to get there after opening. I think that's what I'm doing as well, because I'm going with my wife, who's anti-hoopla. And so that's our date trip to the park. So I think we'll probably get there a little bit after 9 or so that it's just an easy park and walk into the park. Veronica, I love using the train as transportation. Let me see, any other questions here? Ross Loves Disney says, besides the 25% capacity restriction, is there any different vibe with everyone being only ticket holders? Well, I'm not buying the park hopping tickets. At least I didn't for the first 8 weeks, because a 10-hour day is just not long enough to park hop. So for me personally, it was a little bit weird knowing that I couldn't go to DCA if I wanted to. The 25% capacity really does show everybody was on their best behavior. There was so much happiness and joy in the park. So I kept saying in the live stream, it's like, it's the happiest place ever during possibly the happiest time ever. I mean, everybody was just so happy to be back. So for me, that wasn't that big of a difference. But I did talk to that young man later on in my stream, Landon, who, I'm the vibe crusher. He's the ride crusher. And he was telling me that earlier in the day, he had started his day over in DCA, and that he was able to, basically walk on Radiator Springs. He had also told me yesterday on Instagram that he rode the Incredicoaster 17 times in a row because he could, because there just wasn't a line. So I think that if you're somebody who's really, really into rides, this is your moment to just, it's only open 10 hours. I guarantee you'll be able to ride more in these 10 hours than you ever could on an 18-hour day back in 2019. Federal says, for my upcoming trip, I was thinking about that 12-hour short days would keep us in the park all day, but now I'm thinking that our usual downtown Disney meals might work okay. I mean, yeah, you could easily go over to downtown Disney, but keep in mind, downtown Disney, I don't know that it has the same restrictions. Downtown Disney felt busier than the parks, so you might want to maybe consider that when you're making your plan. But if you book ahead and get a reservation for your dining, you'll be set. Richard was there. He said DCA on Saturday was great. Lines were really short. See, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. MV says, are they allowing ticket holders to walk into the parking structure via Magic Way? I don't know. I was actually thinking about that. I don't know how all that works. I was also considering MV, like, can you park in Mickey and Friends and then walk across the pedestrian bridge and then go in the downtown Disney Way? And I don't think so, because what they're doing right now is they're using the tram route as part of the queue to get into Disneyland, and then they're using the bus route on the eastern side as part of the queue. They want to keep the Esplanade relatively open because their fear is if you let thousands of people go in the Esplanade, then you have people soup, and then you have everybody standing on top of everybody, and then we're not social distancing. So they definitely have some very, very specific ways that they're running things right now. So if you go up trying to do something out of the box, just show up with patience that it might not be able to happen, but also give yourself enough time. So if your way of doing something doesn't work, that you have time to walk around the park. I will say this also, when I left Disneyland on Friday night, there are not as many Ubers there as there used to be. So it was very, very hard getting a car back home. Like so hard that I ended up driving somebody else's car back home. So keep in mind, there's not as many drivers as there were a year ago. Tommy says, how is seating? Did they add more places to seat in it? Yeah, a lot of places to eat. A lot of places to sit and eat, kind of like how they rearranged Touch of Disney. Yes, Tommy, there are lots of really great places. For example, over in New Orleans Square, along the rivers of America, there's little tables all the way along. So before that was, purely a walking path. Now you could get some food from, someplace up the hill there, go down to the banks and actually just sit right on the rivers of America and have a duck be like, what you got up there for me? So yeah, so there's lots of extra seating, lots of great places to be. Keith, is that article going to be put on the wall in your house? Probably not. And I hate saying this because it sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm not bragging. It's just like our house has like a ton of windows and not that much wall space. Like we have for a couple that was in the art industry for a long time, and we have lots of art and lots of music memorabilia. There's hardly anything on our walls at all because we just don't have that much wall space. Let's see here. Has Disney mentioned any plans regarding limited capacity if the state removes the tier system June 15th? They haven't said anything, Mario, and I'm going to assume that they're going to go at a slow pace. I think Disney wants to ease their way back into this. I mean, they don't have all of the cast members back yet. I think also people are going and they're getting a very rewarding experience, which they like. So I think Disney's this will be another time like what we saw the last year. You'll see Knott's and Six Flags and Universal move at a way faster pace than you'll see Disneyland move at. So I think you'll see low capacity for a while. So 80 likes, 137 people. So 50 of you think I'm doing a bad job today? That's sad. That's sad. I actually saw the likes go down too, so must be doing a real bad job. Federal says, on Friday, were they still doing characters at the Royal Theater, or was that area part of the snow queue? No, they were still doing characters at the Royal area on Friday as well, which was really, really cool. And they were also putting the evil queen on that little balcony there in the Fantasy Fair, who she was just kind of harassing people waiting in line for snow, which was really, really cool. Jonathan says, I'm afraid that there might be people who would vandalize the new attractions in the park. Why would you be afraid that people would vandalize new attractions in the park? I'm very, very intrigued by that. I don't think Disney needs to worry about vandalization because you can't bring things into the park. Like, they look through everybody's bags. So you couldn't bring spray paint in. You couldn't bring any sort of like art supplies like that in. I mean, maybe a Sharpie or whatever, but trust me, there's a camera on you everywhere you go at Disneyland. And you might get away with a little something, but you won't get away with a lot. First, super chat of the stream. Almost done. Threw it in there at the end. Thank you so much. The Woeful Accountants, appreciate it. Thanks for your epic all-day live stream. I appreciate that. Fantastic. I've been looking for a new Disneyland home on the internet, and I believe this is it. Thanks again. Whoa. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Oh, 3 thumbs away from 100. Can you at least throw me a thumb? Throw me a thumb. It's free. Throw me a thumb. Doesn't cost a thing to just go boop. And then more people can find my content. Thank you so much, the Woeful Encounters. I hope you enjoy this spot in the internet. All right. Next Monday, the 13th hour, will be live from Disneyland. I'll be doing my weekly news from inside of the park. And that's not all. Tomorrow, I will be doing a May the 4th live stream at 4 p.m. because May the 4th at 4 p.m. DLT. Disneyland time. It's the only time zone that I live by. So you can catch me tomorrow live. Updated all my equipment. Tomorrow's live stream should be slick. Appreciate everybody trying to get me to 100. And I would also like to say this. Check out the last episode of the Disneyland For Designers podcast. Maybe listen to this on your way to the park. I kind of designed this episode as a get pumped up to return. So if you haven't heard the newest Disneyland For Designers podcast, it's called The Magic Is Back. Maybe download it, put it on your phone, and pop it on. What? Only one super chat? Sharpie. What's up with the assist? I appreciate it, brother. But yes, check out this podcast on your drive in. And now a special announcement for my 1313 members. Tomorrow, an exclusive live stream just for you. A walk down Main Street. I don't have a time, but you will have the link. I'll be putting the link over at club1313.com on your members portal page. So there'll be a link over there, and I will go live just for you, and we will hang out on Main Street. As soon as I get into the park tomorrow, we're going to go live, and we're going to hang out on Main Street, look at some details, have some good vibes, maybe buy a coffee together. So I wanted to send over a little bit of love to just say thank you so much for helping me build this, for supporting me, because that all-day live stream happened because you guys have helped me produce this. So tomorrow morning, little walk on Main Street, and if you don't catch it live, you can catch it afterwards. But it will be a stream exclusively for 1313 members. But also this one tomorrow will be available for all. So you can see me in Batu tomorrow. And I've got some fun Batu shenanigans planned. All right, friends, that pretty much wraps up everything this week. We looked at Marvel Avengers Campus, some of the design details. If you guys see this video posted and you comment that you want me to do a design breakdown of Avengers Campus before it opens, would love to do that. And I'm a little bit worried about some of these buildings, how they might age, but I'm extremely excited to see this new land open and to get in there. And I can't wait to web sling. But the thing I'm most excited about is I want to see that Doctor Strange show really, really bad. I'm very, very anticipating that. And then we also talked about, could Disney be taking the magic on the road, looking at some things that they've been doing, drawing some lines to some, educated guesses, and see if that's something that could happen. And then we ended with me answering some of your questions about what it's like to be inside the park. Last thing I'd love to share with you is this. It's emotional. It takes your breath away. And then it instantly becomes familiar because we love it. We know it. We have so many memories there that literally after maybe 10, 20 minutes, it just settles in that you're back in your happy place. You're back home. And to me, that was the greatest magic trick of all, is that, like, wow, something I've literally daydreamed about for over 400 days just suddenly feels like I never left. It's amazing. All right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in the 13th hour. If you're a new visitor to the channel, thank you so much for joining. I hope you like the way that I do my weekly live stream. Sometimes it's real interactive, sometimes it's news heavy, but I always try to make it a blend of something different for you to hang out with, because my goal is, if you miss one live, I want you to be able to watch the replay back and enjoy it. And if you're new to the channel, consider liking this video, consider subscribing and ringing the bell, because I do go live every single time I'm in the park. And I will be live tomorrow celebrating May the 4th at 4 p.m. because that seems like the magic time that you go live tomorrow. Oh, can we get to 115 likes? Can I get a thumb up? Can I get a thumb up? Can I get a thumb up? Hey, thumb up over in the chat. Thumb up over in the chat. Can I get a thumb up over in the chat? 110, 110, 110. Can I go 112? Can I go 112? Can I get two of you? Can I get two of you? Oh, no. There's 115 viewers, 110 likes. That would only mean that 5 of those people hadn't liked. It's not going to happen. 110's the best that we do, and I'll take it. 111's the best that we do, and I'll take it, and I'll be happy with it. I will see you tomorrow celebrating the first ever May the 4th inside of Batu. Oh, Roy, what's up, bud? So, friends, until the next time I see you standing underneath the spires inside of Galaxy's Edge, I'll see you back here on the channel with more Disneyland news. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Can't wait to do it again.